Hey y'all, welcome to part 4 of the forging / making a traditional Seax tutorial. So I'm going to let you guys know ahead of time, this is going to be kind of a long one because I want to finish the forging part of the tutorial of how to make this traditional Seax, so we can move forward to prep for heat treat and heat treat itself and the assembly stuff that I'm going to be doing on the road, because my wife and I are leaving on contract on the 17th, so next Friday for me. For you, it doesn't really matter, right? But anyways, I want to touch on all the important information of how we got to this length, and I'm going to do that with some parts, some clips. Like in the beginning, it's going to be hyper speed basically, and me talking through it because it's a lot of what you've seen thus far. And then once I get back to right here, you're going to see I'm going to stop it when I start to mark, because I'm going to do the indentation right here, starting to push the handle to shape, which is important stuff because it's going to be talking about how to use your anvil, how you can make an impression in your steel, and then start and mark where you want your handle to start and be able to form it from that point. So with that being said, I have my Sharpies here is what we're going to be focusing on in the beginning and back here. And after that's done, it's pretty much repeating what we have done thus far until we're happy with the shape that we have. So with that being said, guys, enjoy. Here we go. So something a little different. You guys can hear the hammer. And the reason why I want to do that is to basically show you how hard I'm actually hitting it, and also that the rhythm that it makes, because that's how for me anyways, that's how I know. It's almost like I'm in tune on an instrument. It's how I know that I'm actually using my hammer properly and not just wailing at things. So anyway, so what we're doing here is we are starting to form the final parts of the angles of the broken back Seax, and what makes it the broken back Seax, the nose and the angle downwards towards where the tang is going to start, and which we're setting up for. Actually right now we're just doing the first initial forming, kind of squeezing things out to a taper, and we will start putting an indentation here. But remember, when you hit the spine, you always want to hit your flats on both sides. Right here, you can kind of hear in the background the forge going and stuff. So I'm marking again where I want that final angle on the back side of the Seax to be, and where I want my tang to start. This is important because I don't want them too far away from each other for what we're going for now. I'm about to use the rounding side of my anvil to make my impression. The first heat is to make your mark, the second is the indentation, and then you start forming from there. So I'm going to let you hear the rhythm how I do things. So you can see few hits, you got it, and then from there you're just pretty much focusing your hammer blows towards where you made that first indentation. And now I'm going to be using the rounding hammer. With the rounding hammer, I meant rounding face of the rounding hammer. It's a rounding hammer, but yeah. What I'm doing is, like you've seen in the other parts of the tutorial, we're starting to spread material, and in order to make things longer, you have to make things wider. So that's what we're doing here. We're hitting on all areas, basically 4 different points on an area, and then hitting it flat, flipping it around, and doing the same thing. just saw there, I was using the rounding horn to start to make the shape of what I'm going for. And so you can hear the rhythm as well. What you just saw there is I am starting to form the butt of the tang using basically the flat side of my rounding hammer, and also I use the rounding part. But again, this is just widening up material, stretching it, and then again making the rounding parts. And you can just literally see I'm doing a brushing motion, because that's honestly all you need to do. It doesn't take a lot of force behind it. It's just all about technique, and if you can pretend that it is a paintbrush almost, you can really move your steel effectively. And then this is just cleaning things up. You can't really see it, but I'm flipping from rounding face to flat face, going to the horn and back, doing our final draw. As I said, just putting that final backside of the broken back sax angle in, moving it and forming it with the tang. And now I'm doing the nose. As you saw, I started from where basically the apex of both angles meeting, and then working my way down to the very tip of the nose of the blade. And again, when you hit the spine or you hit the edge, you always want to hit your flats. And that is what I am doing here. And now I'm going to be hitting on the horn. And again, I wanted you to hear that because there's different rhythms. You can, even on my audio display here, editing this, you can see the difference of rhythm. When I'm really trying to move material and I'm using a little bit more force, it's a slower swing. If I'm just trying to move material and use heat, it's faster rhythmed. If you haven't noticed, I'm always checking my work, which is something I really encourage anybody to do. And you can see I'm not swinging hard. You can hear I'm not swinging hard, and I'm using a lighter hammer because this is doing the finer detail. This is like going from a number 2 pencil to a mechanical pencil with a very fine point of lead, I guess is a horrible way to say it, but it's just doing little detail work to make the bigger impact of our profile here. Doing the final part, and that is putting in the curve of the tip of the sax. This is why I love the whack-a-mole stick, because you can move material effectively without having to make a huge indentation. And there we got it. Motion perfect. Doing a little bit of straightening here. And there we got it. All right, everyone, so let's check out what we forged, what we made. But first, I want to do some explaining here, because the next part of this tutorial where we assemble this knife, you're going to see some differences than what you're going to see on camera here, being this is the end of this part. Like the finger swell right here, I'm doing that off camera, and you're going to see bevels forged in on the blade. And I did that off camera because of two reasons. One, I ran out of time and propane, and two, when it comes to the bevels, I'm still working on that skill and I don't want to give wrong information, but I'm going to link in here a video that I highly recommend you go watch, because this is true, authentic bladesmithing when you do 90% on the anvil, which is always my goal, and that's what I showed you on this video. We drew the crap out of this steel. With that being said, that's the one I was looking for. Write in the comments if you think we went above parameters, below parameters, or right at our goal at 10 inches. And let's take a look at what we have forged. This is the profile, the rough profile of what we forged out. Let's take a look at what it looks like to the picture I drew, and then we'll do some measurements. So that is what I drew, that is what I forged. And if you follow along with the steps and me talking with the voiceover, you'll get close to what I just did here. If you use the same material as far as thickness and length goes. Again, the steel, like I said earlier at the beginning of this part of this tutorial series, you can choose whatever steel you want, but it's about if you follow the steps here. So that is what we forge. Again, what you draw is going to be super exaggerated to what you make, and that's what you want, because it'll make you pay more attention to detail of what you're forging. But yep, I would say that's pretty daggone close to what we forged out. Now, let's look at the overall, which is just a little bit over 11 inches. And I said it was going to be somewhere overall of about 9.5. So we were off on that one. But like I said in part of this tutorial, it is better to have more and cut more away than not have enough, and then you're in trouble, because then you have to figure something else out. The blade itself is right at 7 inches, and we wanted 6, so we went an inch over. The tang is right at about 4 1/4. So after I do the rounding and stuff on the grinder, and honestly when I forge in the bevels, which is going to cause me to do a little bit more hitting here on the nose, which is going to lengthen this out a little bit more, and I have a little bit of fixing to do on the tang here, not much, so this might get a little bit bigger. So when you see it the next part, it's going to have some difference to it. But my whole point of doing this is I could have started with an inch of material, because that's about at the widest point we're about an inch in width, and I could have just hit down the nose and stuff like that. But I want people to understand part of this art is doing the best of what you have, and sometimes you just have a piece of steel and you don't want to be wasteful, and you learn to draw out steel and you can make a knife out of it. We drew this out to 11 inches. That was an inch over, or actually over 11 inches. That was an inch over the overall parameters. It can be done, and honestly, if I wanted to thin this out more, I could, and I could draw this out a lot more. I could draw out the handle a lot more, but it'd be thinner. But the reason why I wanted to show that, guys, is because you can start with square stock, you can start with round stock, and you can learn to move the steel. You just have to be patient with it, and don't skip the steps. So anyways, guys, stay tuned for the next part of us assembling this. My name is Nathaniel Winger. Born in Ohio, raised in Colorado. Being a bladesmith for 7 years, I can tell you, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but I'm chasing quality products for the end user and or for custom orders for my clients that make sense to what they're trying to use it for. In the time of bladesmithing, I've learned that 90% on the anvil means 90% less time on the grinder. Everything is hypothetical until sharpened and then sheathed. And if I truly want something unique and quality, handmade is the way to do it. Welcome, Colorado Custom Leather and Blades.